how to build a foam sword. So some of the things you're going to need is PVC, cut spar, fiberglass, filament wound, epoxy tubing. You'll need DAP. I got a can right here. Some of the extra stuff you could have, but you should, is if you want, you can have packing tape, which is essential, and duct tape. You'll need some form of duct tape or some form of tape, and I'll explain why. So there's two different ways you can make a sword. You can go omni, which is this. You can also go flat blade, which is this. First things first, you're gonna wanna measure and cut the PVC accordingly. That's what we did. Pre-measured, pre-cut. This one has yet to be cut, but that's a-okay. One of the first things you want to do is you want to take your duct tape over here and cap both ends of it. What this does is prevents the foam from being pushed into it and you're going to lose the foam. A lot of companies, what they'll do is they will cap in, so they'll put a piece of foam on top and then they'll tape on top to prevent it from really getting in there. You can do that. Most of the swords I've made have just been straight tape on top of it, so that's one way you can do it. Really doesn't matter how. You just want to make sure that there's no way the PVC is going to stab through, so you want a bit of a cushion there. Really up to you how much you put on. There's no really wrong answer to it. You just want to make sure that it's padded well. If you don't, you're gonna stab right through the foam, and that is a safety hazard. So, in the end, you have something like this. You can see duct taped around the end. So, like I said, the reason why you really don't want to lose the PVC you spent hard time on our kite spar, and you don't want to lose your blade that you just spent making. It's also a safety hazard. There's many ways you can do this. You can do tape, which is amp guard method. Some amp guard usually uses packing tape. That's how they do it. They don't use contact cement. I myself recommend the use of contact cement because that is the safest way to do this and the smartest way to do this. Because that will guarantee the sword's there and it's going to stay on. And if you do packing tape, that will fail. It has failed. So that just guarantees the durability and longevity of your blade. So, once it's done like that, you're cut. So typically the way you want to build a blade is you want about 6 inches. The handle really, it's up to you how long you want your handle. I like it typically longer, which is why with this one my handle's so long. It's from where you see the crazy padding here all the way down here. That's how long my handle is. I like room. They say for pommel you want like 2 inches, which I mean you can get away with 1 inch. The main thing is you want your pommel to be secure. So 1 inch or 2 inches is usually a good measure to do. It's really up to you how much you want it, but it's often a personal choice. The blade length is also depending on how long you have the weapon and how long you want everything else. Maximal handle length is 1/3 of the total, or I think it's 12 inches, 12 to 18 inches. So, right here's my blade length. This is how long I want it, or how long I have materials. I have pre-cut this, but the easy way to do it is you'll lay it on top of your blue camp mat. You get this from Walmart. It's Ozark Trail camp mat. You'll lay it on top to make sure it's about the width of it, and you'll cut it. You'll mark and cut. The easiest way to do that, X-Acto knives are pretty easy to get straight cuts and have a metal ruler. There are other ways to do that, depending on what you like to use. what you'll like to have on you is, it was recommended to have, it's not an acid, but basically an acid brush. A brush that's made to apply like chemicals and like glue onto it that won't like ruin itself. So like you can use a paintbrush, but it will become almost unusable after a day. For those of you who don't have that, you can use a piece of cardboard, something thick. I use scrap foam right here. Piece of foam that's torn up, it's not going to be used for anything. So you want to dip it in the DAP, you have your contact cement, and you want to apply it to the blade. Now you want to make sure it's fully applied to not all parts of it, but to where the blade's gonna go. You want at least 2 coats of it. Depending on the weather and the temperature, you'll want to keep it kind of take about 15 minutes, sometimes faster, sometimes not. It's also recommended that you have something down as you're doing this so it doesn't like get everywhere, like ruin concrete or that. I myself am sitting on a piece of cardboard, real easy. Just take a piece of cardboard, cut it up, put it down at your work area. But you want to make sure you put it on just about wherever you can, all over the blade, including the tip of it. We'll get to the pommel in a bit, but you apply it to both sides and you're going to leave it sit there for about 15 minutes on average. So once you do that, you're just going to have to let it sit. Rest it up against something, rest it on the can of DAP. However it works to you, you just want to let that rest. And then you're going to take your 2 strips of foam. After you cut it, if you want to be really precise, you can. You don't have to, but do what you think is best. These are about close enough from how they were cut. Yeah. You take 2 of these, and you're going to dap one side. Do not dap both, you dap one side. Again, dap one side fully. Let it dry for about 15 minutes. You're going to do this twice. The reason why you do this twice is because if you don't, it's not going to last long. We want long-lasting swords here. We want stuff that is guaranteed to last you at least a year plus. Now, if you use it a lot, you know, that will... Sometimes that will take the value of it, like the lifespan of it, but, you know, that's what we're here to do. We're here to make long-lasting stuff that is built to last, and stuff that you guys can use as the years go on. Now, this method is the same for every type of sword, no matter what, whether it's... Well, the only exception is flail, but whether it's hammers, axes, dual-ended, single blues, omnis, great swords, spears, whatever you're dapping, whatever the size of it is, you want to make sure you do a stab tip, or if you cover it, or if you have the giant sword, no matter how long the blade, dap the area you're blading, and then dap both ends of the blue kit map, and you're going to let it dry for 15 minutes each. There's other foam you can use, but the method is still the same. The only difference is, especially when you get to omni tubes, you're going to dap the inside, and you're going to dap there. Kind of easy. The harder part will be coming up later. So we're going to dap that, and then we're going to let it dry, and then we're going to see what's up. As that's going to dry, I'm going to dap this myself, and you're going to cut to length. So most of it is now dry, so we're going to add the strips here. So I had cut it down to size, and then this is pipe insulation. You want to put DAP on the inside. It's not quite dry because I put a second layer on it. So you leave that there. Going on, you'll take your strips you've got. So these are all dry and they're ready to bind. Once you do it twice, it's going to bind very strong, so it's going to be very, very sticky and pliable. So you're going to put it on, line it right up. There's one, but on one side, do not do both. Once it's on, it's not coming off. So sometimes it gets hard to kind of line it up. So flats are kind of hard to line them up perfectly straight, but you can kind of take them away really quick and try to reapply it, but do be careful because we don't want to take away all that we spent doing. So then it'll look like this. See it's flat on one side. Then you're going to take, measure the width of it, and you're going to grab a piece that's basically put on the width so it'll look like that. As you can see, it is the width of the blade, and it'll go like that and it'll stack right on top. You take two of these and you'll dap one side, and then you'll dap this, including this should already be dapped, but you're going to dap the edges now. You're going to box it in more. So. Yeah. So I'm going to dap the edge of that, and then I'll be back to show you what else we're going to do once we get the sides dapped. Cool. So I just put the second layer on, so we're going to let that dry, but first I'm going to show you kind of what you're going to do for Omni. So, yeah, the light's kind of in my face. Ooh. There we go. So, you're going to take the kind of pipe here, you're going to take this. So, you're going to take this. Wait till it, there we go. Now take this, and then you're going to take the pipe and you're going to put it, like, basically jam it right on there. Yeah. This is the only annoying part of it, because this takes time. You basically want to make sure you get it lined up for how you want it. Typically you're going to jam it on there. Sometimes it's impossible to do it, so we're going to go from and then we're going to add a little courtesy padding right around that. There you go. There's our kind of put together Omni. Feels pretty solid. Yeah, it feels good. It's not really gonna hurt. I'm gonna probably put another layer of tape. Put a little dap right there. As you can see, the seams kind of split open right there. Here it's sealed pretty well. So, otherwise this thing's not coming off. So once it bonds, this thing is very hard to remove. As you see, I was kind of struggling to get it to go up, but eventually I did. So, yeah. So, right there, I'm probably going to work on the pommel of this next. That's going to get the box in, and then we're going to get ready to do the rest of it. So yeah. I'll be back when that's done drying and I can put that on top. And I'll have the pommel dapped with this, so you're gonna dap the pommel next because this is already done. I'm gonna add strips on the bottom to get the pommel ready. Alright. I'll be back with that. Now that it's dry, we're gonna take the dried pieces and we're gonna apply to each side of it. Again, you wanna try to line this up close as possible to form that box shape. Because once it's on and set, it ain't gonna really move. Move that up a little bit. There we go. That nice, basically flat line. Press it down. There you go. There's your box. And we're gonna cap it. And then we're gonna wrap. For the Omni, should be done. So I pushed it together and then I add a little packing tape. Packing tape's good for preserving it. And this is dry too. So I'm gonna wrap this around here. And there's that. And that binds pretty well. You got a basic sword with almost a full pommel. And then I'm gonna wrap this around twice. And there's your pommel, then that's going to be capped. And then we're going to cap this top. So we're going to dap around, dap this piece and dap that, so it's going to wrap around this twice. We're going to dap the top and we're going to make a cap. So I'll like seal it on top and then that will be done. Here we're going to cap it, so we're going to dap here. We're also going to dap both sides. Which, the way you do that is you want this to be able to fully enclose it, kind of like this, make a sword. So it's going to wrap all the way around. Have a little bit of give because of the cap, but once we cap it, you're going to wrap it around so it's going to look like that. Do that once, dap this side again, and you're going to do it twice. So in the end, kind of look like something like this. So yeah, that's what we're going to do next, and then I'll come back when it's all dapped. Okay, so some time has passed. I did finish the dap. It's got 2 layers on, so I'm going to put all that together. So with the insulation pipe, you just put a cap on it once it's done. Make sure again you dap both. It'll bind really nicely. Just put it on there. Make sure it's secure. I mean, there's your single blue done right there. This is not a stab tip, so it cannot hit stab. Can't stab. However, you got one done. And then we're going to add the second layer around on the pommel so that it will connect. And this foam will compress, as all foam does as time goes on. So do keep that in mind as you're building this. So just a piece of advice. Take it as you want, but it forms a nice little cut. So there's your pommel done around, so we're just going to cap the bottom, and then our Omni right here is done, and I'm going to cover it in packing tape so it lasts longer, because that way water doesn't get into it, you're not going to have problems with it, and it will be built to stay on. Pretty nice sword. With our flat blade, we're going to need to cap it, same as the Omni. However, since it's just a box, you need to put 2 layers on top. Make sure it's with the 3, 1, 2, 3, not this. This is the good side. You do not dap on this side. If you do, you can do it this way. However, the reason why we do this is it keeps these three packed and it keeps them very solid. So we're gonna put a cap on this right here. Okay, so now all that is dried, so we're gonna add that. So we're gonna cap this. The reason why you cap it is just safety, really. When anything bad to happen, you want to kind of keep it as good as you can. So there we go. We have finished making our single blue. This is our mini single blue Omni. And this is the same process for any other size that you want. So yeah, just be careful. Make sure the DAP dries twice, you know. You'll be okay. If you have any questions, throw them in the Discord or just ask and we'll be able to help you really well. And we're gonna close this. If you have any hanging off like this, you just want to cut it with scissors. So that'll be fine. So there's that. You just gotta cap this and then that'll be done. And then with this, you're gonna take your layer, line it up the best you can. You know, put it over that, reset it like that. Sure it goes all the way that you can. Make sure it's properly compressed. Stab tips on there real good. Not stab tip, but tips on there real good. And here's the first layer of our dagger. And we're gonna do one more and we'll be good. So now that's all dry, the final steps will be to bind this to it. And again, you'll put the second one, and you'll want to wrap it over. However, this one, it couldn't be, for other reasons, mainly because like I got it from Isaac. So, I'm not blaming him, that's just straight up like what happened. So there you go, and there's the flat. But once it binds over, typically you want to make sure it's like the same length, but you know, if it's not, you'll get something like this, and you can kind of see it's cut. It's fine, you know, it is what it is. And then I've capped the bottom of it. You don't have to do a perfect circle under it. I typically do. That's just because what I like to do. Yeah. And most of the time you'll have chunks left over. Stuff you can do with these chunks is make a flail, make a rock. You can add it as decor to other projects, but there you go. It is done. Something else you can do is when you get packing tape, you want to put packing tape along here and along the flat, keep it safe. Unless you want to stab tip these, different story. Different story. You kind of don't want to do that yet. So yeah, that's it. You made your own flat and Omni. So thank you guys.